Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hello, my name is Ben Thomas, and you're watching Combat Sports UK. Today, I'm joined by Scotland's Rhys McEwen, who collides with Cameron Else at Cage Warriors 171 in Glasgow this Saturday. Firstly, Rhys, the most important question of the day. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm feeling very good, feeling very ready, excited, focused, and just desperate to fight on Saturday night. How are you?
I'm brilliant. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking. I'm excited to see you fight. I'll be honest with you, that co-main event slot in Glasgow.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. I had a wee moment of reflection when I seen the fight card on Saturday. Like, that's the last three fights in Cage Warriors where I've been main event or co-main event. I was co-main event in Cardiff, main event in Newcastle, and then obviously now co-headlining this show. So I always say, obviously, it doesn't matter where you are in the card because you're there, your job is there to fight as long as you know what fight time it is. That's the psychology of going into the fight, but it does add an extra, let's say, a wee bit of fuel to the fire. But it's also a wee bit cooler that you're co-headlining such a big show, and the competitive part of me obviously was like, oh, I wish I was the main event, but Chris Bungard absolutely deserves that slot. That's a huge fight. Both of those guys coming off a win, and a good win streak. So, it means that, yeah, it means a lot to be the co-main event for this Scotland card.
It's going to be absolutely berserk. But before we do touch on a bit about the night itself and the opponent, I just want to quickly go back to your previous fight. It was a unanimous decision loss to Liam Gittins in November of last year. You've had quite a bit of time to reflect on that loss. So looking back, how do you view that now?
I just view that as another chapter in a fight in my career. Like, that's what it was. It was 25 minutes worth of time that's been banked. I went back to the gym. I've grew from it. I became stronger from it. I'm a smarter, more experienced fighter off the back of it. Obviously, after every fight, there's things that you've done well and things that you could do better. I made a few technical errors in there. I went back to the gym. I sat down with my coaches and we addressed the mistakes that I made and what is the kind of missing link from why I came second best on that night. And again, it's okay to make mistakes, but let's not repeat them. And I've been faced with those situations in the gym, against multiple training partners and world class training partners and highly experienced training partners, and I've not repeated those, let's say, mistakes. I've made better decisions, and I'm very happy with that. So that tells me that I've became a better fighter since then. And now it's my job on the 20th of April to put those improvements in show. So, a lot of growth, a lot of experience from there, and a much stronger version today than I was on the 25th or the 26th of November.
I mean, heading into that fight against Gittins, you were riding a 4-fight win streak and you seemed in touching distance of a title shot, to be fair. Did taking that loss kind of like change the approach going forwards? How did it change that?
I think every fight you've got, there's always a different element, different approach. There's no fight. If you ask me my mindset going into every different fight, I'm going to have a different answer. Because every fight has its own story. Obviously, the title fight or every fight leading into the title fight on the title run, it was always about the title. Whereas now, I've just learned to take it fight by fight and moment by moment. The thing with the title fight is obviously like, as much as you don't want to see things are different, everything's different. The narrative of the fight, it all talks about being a world champ and it all talks about being the champion and you're fighting 5 minute rounds all of a sudden. Like, your training camp and your approach, everything has to change, everything is different. But when you actually do break it down, the most important thing on the night is to perform and to have a game plan that's specific to the opponent that you're fighting. And it's about, on the night, it's about who can not only like optimize that game plan the best, but you see with the likes of like the Justin Gaethje Max Holloway fight, Justin Gaethje gets his nose broken in round one and he's not the same after that. This is a sport, and that's not not an excuse, but this is a sport where you're a second or an exchange away from a game changing, a fight changing moment, and that's on you to do that to your opponent to make sure that they cannot impose their game plan and they cannot impose their strengths. So, the narrative going into this fight is just to focus on the 20th of April and not worry about titles or anything after. When I sit down after the fight and after the victory, then I look at what's next and again I go fight by fight.
I mean, I'm glad you just brought up Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway because we are going to circle back to that fight in a couple of questions' time because I don't think we can jump on an MMA interview and not mention one of the maddest moments in MMA history. But we've touched on your past, so let's now jump straight into the future and start on Saturday night, back fighting on Scottish soil for the first time since 2021. Just how
Yeah.
excited are you to get back in front of your home crowd with the Scottish flag over your shoulder?
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and it feels a wee bit weird, like because I've been so used to traveling away, and again, moments of reflection. Like the last time I fought in Scotland was in August 2021, and it was in an equestrian centre with 300 people, 350 people, and I sold like over 200 tickets for that fight to the point where I wasn't allowed any more tickets, because they're like we just can't give you any more. And again, I had an opponent pull out on me the week before and I had to fight let's say a journeyman in 2 days' notice, and I refused to fight. I said I'm not fighting him, and I remember the promoter messaging me saying, "Look, no pressure, but we kind of need you to accept this fight, otherwise the show is cancelled." And so that was like my last kind of fight in Scotland, and the fight before that was behind closed doors. But in that show in the question centre, I knew I was going to win, right? Uh, and when I won, I wasn't happy because of the circumstances that led to the victory. But I sat on top of the canvas and I took the whole moment in, and I said, "This is going to be the last time I fight in Scotland in a while. I want to go on to bigger and better things." Um, and then 2 fights later, I signed for Cage Warriors. I go on a title run. I fight in England. I fight in Wales. Um, and now I'm co-headlining a show in Scotland in the Braehead Arena 2.5 years later. So again, that feels a wee bit surreal, but it's just again more another example of manifesting visualization and that goals can become your reality with hard work.
I mean, it kind of feels like a full circle moment, not just for yourself, but also some other fights on the card. I mean, it's stacked from top to bottom with some
Yeah.
brilliant Scottish talent. Who else on the card are you kind of looking forward to seeing? I know you'll be focused on your night, but is there anyone else you're looking forward to, or you can point out to viewers that you're saying, look out for this guy?
Yeah, obviously with the Scottish card, like you don't know when Cage Warriors will come back to the Braehead Arena, or you don't know. Say for instance, like there's a next level where you could fight in the Hydro. Like you don't know. I don't know when I'll ever get this opportunity again because there's no secret. Like I want to sign for the UFC, but you don't know when they'll come to Scotland again. So I don't know when I'll ever get this opportunity in my career again. And also, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get the opportunity to co-headline it. So again, as you say, it's a special moment, and for me, I think it's obviously, thinking about my own fight. I'll be rooting for every Scottish fighter on the card. I think it's very cool what you've got. When it was my first or second amateur fight, like you had professionals on the card like Paul McBain and Chris Bungard, and I think it's again a full circle moment where now we're sharing the card together. It's not the first time me and Chris have shared the card, and I think in terms of the fight card placement, the fight that I'm most looking forward to because the one that I'll be able to actually watch will be Chris Bungard's fight in the main event. I think I'm going to put on an absolute masterclass as in the co-main event and set him up perfectly to finish the show on a high.
That would be the stuff of dreams for all the Scottish fans in attendance and even watching back home because I mean, both of you are such fan favourites. But this Saturday night, you are taking on former UFC fighter Cameron House. What do you
Yeah.
actually think of your opponent and what do you expect him to bring come fight night?
Cameron Ellis is a very well-rounded fighter. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's got power in his hands. He's very physically. He's athletic. So he ticks all the boxes in terms of skills, ability. He's got a ton of experience. He's been fighting longer than I've even been training. He's got some big wins over some big guys, like some high-level guys like Paddy Pimlet, Dylan Tuke. He's got a win over Aiden James as well. So he's got some big wins. I think all his finishes have been in round one. And again, he was signed to the UFC, so the UFC thought he was good enough and a world class fighter at the time. Obviously, the run in the UFC, there's no shame in not having a successful run in the UFC. It's a very hard sport. It's a hard sport to get a run in Cage Warriors, as well as it is the UFC. So He's been about the game a long time, and for me, when I seen that name come through, I just thought that was a perfect opportunity to fight a guy like him. I've been on a title run in Cage Warriors, and to have a win over a guy that's been in the UFC, I think that's a great win to get in my resume. And again, like, look, this is just my opinion. I feel I'm a better MMA fighter than Cameron Else. I feel I've got better skills, and I feel I've beaten people that are better than him. But that's what makes fighting, that's what makes sports so interesting. It's see who can impose their will the best on that night. And anything can happen. But the way that my mind is, and I'm not trying to be cocky or arrogant, I'm just like, I'm in such a good place right now, and I just feel I'm going to outclass them, outwork them, and outskill them.
Where do you expect to actually get the better of your opponent on Saturday night? If you got a set route to victory in mind?
No. This is honestly like without giving a game plan. This is the first fight I've went into where I've not had like a linear approach. Like this is my single path to victory. Let's say I've got a dual approach. I've got a couple of ways where I'm quite flexible, but the most important thing for me is, well, I don't really want to give that away, but like the most important thing for me is to go in and prove that I'm the better MMA fighter and not stack the odds in his favour and play into his hands. The fight is 15 minutes. I'll go 15 minutes, no problem. I just went 25 minutes there, and 15 minutes is I want to prove I'm the better fighter over 15 minutes, and afterwards I want to back up the words that I'm saying, so I don't come across as arrogant and just throwing these words out into thin air. Like I say, I want to outclass him, outskill him, outwork him, and I want to do that over a guy that's been in the UFC, had a UFC run, and show that I'm one of the best bantamweights. I am the best bantamweight in Cage Warriors, and um, I need to back that up with a fine, spectacular performance on Saturday night. And I want people to look at that performance and say he has been improving in the gym. I see those improvements. He is a much better fighter. Like he can back up his words with his performances.
Do you actually think there's any added pressure on yourself considering he's returning from the UFC? Obviously, he's had that stint in the UFC. He's had quite a few eyes on his performances, and now he's coming back to Cage Warriors. Do you think that adds any pressure onto your performance?
No, I'll shine in that. I just feel that like that doesn't really do any. I don't really look into that in that sense. I just think that I feel that me as a competitor, I rise to the occasion. Like the bigger the opponent, the scarier the opponent, the bigger the event, I rise to that. The let's say the nerves, the feeling, the focus, the fuel and training, it all gets heightened for me. And let's say the pressure does get increased, no matter what the circumstances are. I just feel like I thrive in that, especially in the gym. You're sparring with someone new, or you're maybe sparring with someone that's got a great record or anything like that. Like I just feel like I thrive in the moments where the nerves and the competitive element is through the roof. Like that's what I do it for. I'm a firm competitor, and I feel like this will bring the best out of me. A better opponent brings out the best in me. I want the toughest fights and the toughest test that I can. And as I say, this is a very important fight to have a win, to get a win over a UFC bet.
I mean, you just said it there. It's important to have these tough fights. And you've obviously gone through the ranks in Cage Warriors and you've fought some very incredible opponents. But where do you actually rank Cameron House on the list of opponents that you've fought? Is he the hardest fight of your career?
No, well, the thing is, I think like I don't know if this is smart or stupid, right? But I came off my first pro loss, and then I get signed to Cage Warriors. Like in hindsight, I probably should have took a few like regional fights where were favourable. And then what did I think? I go and do 2 weeks before the debut. I go and call out. I say, oh, I want Kingsley Crawford after this. He's number one contender. In hindsight, I'm like, what was I thinking? And then again, I beat Sam Spencer. I asked to be on the London card against Crawford. Ian Dean went back to my manager and said, we've only got Crawford. And I said, yeah, that's who I want. And they're like, "You're 4-1, he's 10-3, or 8-3, whatever it was. He's had double, triple the amount of fights you've had. Like he's at the top of the division." And they're like, "It'll be a big statement if you beat him, but don't think you should do that yet." I'm like, "Give me him!" Like, and then after I beat him, I'm like, "Right, this is what I mean. Like, I thrive in these moments. I thrive when I push myself to these limits and I push the boundaries all the time. And I know how good I am. I know how good I am in the gym, and I want to test that like I want to test that on fight night. I want to test that time and time again. So in terms of Cameron Else, if I think about the Kingsley Crawford fight, I think Kingsley Crawford, like he came off a huge knockout on Aiden James when I fought him. He knocked people out. He submitted people. He would knock them down and then submit them unconscious, and he was not tearing Cage Warriors. Whereas I feel that opponent specifically is better than Cameron Else. That's what I'm saying. I've fought and I've beaten people. As an amateur, I had 7 fights and I fought a guy called Willie Scott who had 70 fights, an exceptional striker. I had no fear. Again, like my fourth amateur fight, I fight Keelan Lochran, who is now signed to the UFC. And I know this was in the amateurs, but this was a guy who was knocking everybody out, no matter how the fight was going on. He would touch people and they would go down. So I've fought knockout artists before. I've fought people who are athletically gifted. I've fought people who are submission black belts in jiu-jitsu. I've chased the fights. I went after these people from day one. When really I've had no right to fight them. Cameron Else coming into my promotion. He's coming into my country. In terms of an opponent, he's a great opponent, but I fought better people. I fought more dangerous people. And I faced this style before, so it's on me, 20th of April, to go and get another win under my belt.
Like we've mentioned, I mean, you're coming in off a loss after like riding a 4 fight win streak, having all the momentum. If you make a statement on Saturday night, like you made against Crawford, where does that
Uh-huh.
put you in terms of the title picture? Because that would be a big statement if you made one on Saturday night, wouldn't that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I want to do. I want to come in and make a statement. I want to look. I'm being very careful. I hope I'm not like pushing on the line of coming across as arrogant and cocky, but the way that my mindset is going into this fight and the attitude that I've got is that nobody in Cage Warriors has ability to beat me. I don't care how. This is what I mean. Like I don't know if it's smart or silly, but like when I came off my loss, I said to everybody, I said I'm going to sign for Cage Warriors, and I'm going to be this time next year. I'm going to be 6 or 7-1 in Cage Warriors, and I know a lot of people thought like I don't know, like are you sure? And it happened, and it came true. So now, like, I know I'm coming off a loss, and I know William Gittins beat me, but he beat me on that night. He beat me on the 25th of November, not taking away anything from that win. But I want to show that. I want to show that nobody in Cage Warriors has the ability to beat me. The skill set that I've got today, the mindset that I've got today, by getting a win over Cameron Else, makes a statement, puts me back in title contention, and gives me the opportunity to go and show that yeah, I'm the best bantamweight in Cage Warriors, and nobody can beat me. So I want to make a big statement on Saturday night, and then afterwards I want to speak to Cage Warriors, see what they've got planned for me, and then we'll go from there.
I mean, if you make a statement with that crowd, Glasgow crowd behind you, there's no way they can deny a big shot next time out. But I'm gonna also give you like a little thought in your head. If you're going into the final 10 seconds of this fight, we've mentioned it already in this interview, right? If we're heading into the final 10 seconds of the fight, you head into a decision, but you are winning. Will we see you throw your hands down and give a replica of Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway? Will we see it?
Well, this is the thing, right? We talk about the Gittins fight. Gittins was the first person that cut me. He was getting me chatting shit in the fight, right? I went over that experience. I visualized this so many times. Like, you might see me um, speak verbally in this fight again. And if it's the last 10 seconds, then we might just need to play up to the crowd. We might need to put on a show for everybody, and we might need to make sure that everybody who paid a substantial amount of money comes away excited in the fight. But first and foremost, right, I want to make everybody's time worthwhile by putting on a masterclass. If you've got 10 seconds left to the third round, then we might need to point down to the middle of the canvas and we might need to have a Max Holloway moment. But we hope it doesn't go to that moment and we get the finish by then.
I mean, obviously, we hope it's first round, 10 seconds in, you're unscathed and you're out of there. But if there's 10 seconds left and we see you throwing down, oh, it's going to be nuts, isn't it?
Are you going to the event?
No, I'm down here in Wales, so I won't
You
be
need
going.
you need to send, make sure somebody tells me 10 seconds left.
Mhm. I
I
mean,
might be on. Well, so see if there's 10 seconds left and I'm on top of them. I'm going to stand up, bring them to the centre of the campus. I'll do that.
oh, I wish I was there now. I wish I was there. I'd be in the corner shouting 10 seconds. That'd be class. But you'll have to get your corner men on that. You'll have to get with
Yeah,
Yell in 10
I want
seconds.
I want my Max Holloway moment. But look at Max Holloway. What was his moment? He outclassed -1 round, but he absolutely tactically outclassed Gaethje. And then those last 10 seconds was a cherry on what crazy thing I've ever seen in MMA. So a lot of inspiration from that performance. That's for sure.
It was nuts. And it's interesting what you said there, actually, because over that 4.5 rounds, he was absolutely outclassing one of the best in the UFC. And then all of a sudden he gets that last 10 seconds. Everyone's talking about that 10 seconds. So looking forward, would you want that last 10-second moment where you're knocking him out, or do you like a 10-second brawl in the last 10 seconds and then everyone remembers the masterclass all at the start?
Um, as long as people are talking, I don't care.
There we go.
As long as people are talking, I don't care. I just want to make a statement and again prove I'm the best bantamweight in Cage Warriors, and I know that's obviously that's the champion. Whoever's the champion is the best, without a doubt. So I just want to make a statement, put myself back into contention, and give me that opportunity to show that I'm the best bantamweight in Cage Warriors again.
I mean, with all of that in mind above, do we have an official fight prediction?
Um,
I've stumped you
round
there.
three, round three stoppage. I want to show my improvements, right? If there's an opportunity to finish the fight, I will go for it.
Mhm.
At any moment, I will have the eyes in there, but I just feel round three would be nice. Have I had a round three finish before? Yes, Sam Spencer. Yeah. So, yeah, round three finish.
Perfect. I'm logging into my Bet365 app now, round three. But you've obviously, if you get your hand raised on Saturday night, we're only in April and we've got a packed schedule of Cage Warriors in the summer. When can we expect to see you back in there? Are you looking for a quick turnaround? How's your
Yeah.
2024 looking?
Look, I would love to fight in Italy. I'd like to fight in Italy. But the problem with having such a big crowd is it it's whatever suits the Cage Warriors because they know I'm going to take a big crowd anywhere. Even if it's Cardiff, London, they're getting they're getting a lot of tickets. I'll sell more tickets on the hometown show sometimes, the hometown fighters. I want to stay busy. I want to stay busy. So let's see how I come out of this fight. Let's see how I come out of this fight. Sit down with Cage Warriors. I know that they've got that bantamweight tournament, so we'll see what they're thinking.
I mean, I would love to see you back on a Wales card because you've been
Oh
down
yeah,
here a lot of times. I mean, we spoke after that fight actually, and the Welsh crowd had your back. They
yeah,
would absolutely go nuts for you. And there's a large part of it because you do spend a considerable amount of time down at Show MMA in South Wales.
yeah.
How much respect do you have for the Welsh and those killers down there at Show MMA?
Oh yeah, they'll be absolutely sick of me talking about them, but I've got so much respect and so much love for show mixed martial arts and yeah, it's definitely I'd say it's my home from home, but I feel like it's just becoming a home now. And again, they had my back in the Cardiff card, like the whole Welsh crowd were behind me. And I feel like again, quoting like Richard Shore or Jack Shore, like the adopted Welshman. So they are my team. They are my team now. I'm proud to represent them and so much love for Wales, so much love for Shore MMA.
I mean, just how motivating is it as well? Going into that gym and training with killers on a daily basis because they've got Oban Elliott, they've got Jack Shaw, Brett Johns, but their amateurs are just as good as some of the pros out there at the moment. Just how
Yeah.
inspiring is it going in there training with those killers?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And again, top people. For my weight class, don't think there's a better gym in Britain or in Europe for my weight class. In my opinion, as I say, I chose that gym. I reached out to go to that gym for a reason. I was a fan of that gym from the outside, and again, like the coach, obviously the training partners are amazing, world class coaches like Richard Shaw, Carl Parker, him, and I for this fight as well. I've had a lot of like one to one time with Jack Marshman. Like when Jack Marshman talks about like or Jack Shaw or Brett Jones, see when they talk about some of the names that they fought, like the fights that they've beaten or the fights unfortunately they maybe like came fell short on. You're talking about they're fighting the best pound for pound fighters, and they've went in there and made a ridiculous showing, like an outstanding showing of themselves, and the names that they drop is ridiculous. Like So they've been in there with the best, and as I say, like I've spent a lot of time. I think 5 weeks out the last like 11 weeks in my fight camp. They've been down there, and sleeping in the gym in a camping mat for 5 weeks out the last 11 weeks of my life. Like, if you ever need to question how determined I am, or um what I'm willing to do just to improve and get better, like I think that's a perfect example of what I'm willing to do. So yeah, as I say, like I feel that no one in Cage Warriors can beat me, and I feel I'm operating again a different level than I've ever done before. And it's without a doubt down to training with the guys in Shore MMA, the coaches and the training partners, their skill sets, their mindset, their training that's rubbing off on me big time. And I feel like I'm really reaping the rewards of going down a lot now.
I mean, I've been fortunate enough to go down to Sharm a few times and film some content, and
Uh-huh.
you've been in the gym. I mean, you're quite lucky that they have one of the hottest gyms I've ever been in. It's like Death Valley in there at times. So,
But I say every time I go down, it's like altitude training for me because I'm so used to Scottish weather. And they all laugh. I'm like, yeah, I'm not joking.
I mean, you say that today it's been absolutely disgusting down here in Wales, but I can imagine it's like Death Valley in that gym. I don't know how all of you cope. It's not.
And then again, the facilities are absolutely outstanding. Yeah, training partners, coaching, like world class. And again, when you go down for the first few times, you do know of it, but you don't really get the benefit of it. But now I've been down, honestly, like on average, I think I've been down like once, twice a month over the last year and a half. And now I feel like I'm really seeing those differences in my game, especially in comparison to the last version that you also saw. So that's why I'm excited to perform on Saturday night, and I'm invested and I've banked all those improvements, and I can't wait to get this fight and then have another reason to go back down again.
Does it also help that you've got quite a lot of them in a training camp at the moment? Because obviously you've got Brett fighting this weekend at PFL, and Jack's making a return next month at UFC 301. But then you've also got a lot of the lads and girls fighting on the upcoming Samurai Fighting Championships card. So
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
you
You're in a map full of like people who are in peaking at different times. So, for instance, like maybe when Rory Evans is peaking, I'm maybe in the middle of my fight camp. So you're sparring against Rory Evans who's flying, and then the week later you're sparring against Scott Pedersen who's fighting in 2 weeks and he's flying. And then when maybe you're in your peak, they've came back, they're fully recovered, they're freshened up. And again, if even my fight camp, just off the top of my head, like you'll have like Rory Evans who's training for a fight at a certain time. Then you got Scott Pedersen training for a fight at a different time, and then you've got Brett Jones just fighting at the same time as you. Then a few weeks later, you've got Jack Shore. You're like, these are like back to back rounds. You're like, oh my god, give me a break, guys, please. Like, but that's the benefit. And then you've obviously got 15, 20 top European amateurs, like and obviously there's way more professionals on the mat as well. So yeah, it's absolutely brilliant, and it's good. It's good that everybody's so active, and um, it's a challenge, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine you. I mean, I'm very jealous that you're training there, but I don't envy you in the slightest. And you've just mentioned Richard Shaw there. He's actually been
Yeah,
fighting his own battles on the side over the past years, but he's continued to dedicate his life to the gym. Does that give you some added fuel to the fire when you see a guy like Richard training you lot and then going away and fighting his own battles?
yeah, he's an incredible human, like really, and I know I've only had like a small insight into like I remember when I seen Brett, Brett spoke to me about Richard Shore and Carl Parker and the coaches and stuff, and then when I went to the gym and I seen it firsthand, I completely got what he was saying straight away. Like Richard Shore's definitely a special human being. He's always made time for me, and even through the battles that he was going through, I'll never forget when I had the staph infection and I messaged him to say this is what's going on, and he spent 30 minutes of his Sunday night, meanwhile going through treatment, to tell me why I can't fight and not to worry, this is how you're going to deal with it, and this is what's going to happen from here. And he kind of grabbed the situation, and made the decision for me that I wasn't able to fight, and gave me 30 minutes of his time, and he never had to do it. And he always checks up on me, always. Again, he lets me stay in the gym for goodness sake. Like, he's just, yeah, a special human being, and I'm so glad that I've got the chance to like be coached by him and be around about him.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong there. He's an absolute legend, but also someone else
Yeah.
who you've been
I think
partnering.
it's so. I remember my fiance Christy when we went and we met like Shaky and Caro and stuff when I pulled out at the fight, and so Christy got a chance to meet them, and I think she spent the whole day talking about how nice they were. I got pure good vibes. So you know when you bring your like partner to meet your parents, like that was like Christy meeting them, and they got her approval. So
I feel like that's got to be the highest honor of a compliment that for an MMA coach.
yeah, absolutely. When you're well, in my instance, like fiance approves of it, like then they're good people. Like Shaky and Caro are amazing people, and they've made a huge difference to my life in such a short space of time.
I mean, they're all absolute legends, but there's also someone else that you've been working with on the lead up to this fight who might have made a massive difference in such a short amount of time, and that is Dr.
Yeah.
Sam Falhati. Do you mind just
Uh-huh.
walking me through his involvement in your career over the past year and the positives that you've seen coming out of this partnership?
Yeah, so like Dr. Sam, like in a nutshell, like I had a weird injury last year called tennis leg, and I had that after my fight in the 1st of July. And my physio effect were working on it, but it was just one of those strange injuries that anytime somebody touched my leg, it was like an electric shock, and I basically learned to deal with it and just accept that that was the way it was going to be for a long time. Like we had no idea what was going on, and I was about 4 weeks out from the title fight, and again, I still hadn't used this leg at all. Anyone who trained with me knows I've got footage of me saying like, "Please, you can't touch this leg. I wouldn't have a shin guard on." But I just got so used to it. It was 4 months dealing with it, and my one of my wrestling coaches and strength and conditioning coaches, Cameron Nicol, he was in the Commonwealth Games for wrestling, and he always spoke to me about a guy called Dr. Sam that was the physician in the Commonwealth Games and worked very closely with the athletes, the Olympic level athletes. He's been around the UFC for a long, long time, and he said, "Why don't you get in touch with Dr. Sam to see if he's ever came across that injury before?" So I messaged Dr. Sam, and it was him who gave me the diagnosis that it's tennis leg. This is what you should try and do to help it. And over the next few weeks, the injury went away. And obviously, I had so much time to thank him for that, for getting me through that injury, letting me go into the fight 100%. And then I picked up the loss. I found, and I asked, I said, "Can I take you out for lunch? I'd like to know a wee bit more about you, your job, and like, what you do with your athletes and stuff." Um, and we went for lunch, me, him, and Cammy, and we were talking about training and optimizing an athlete's life through their training schedule and stuff. And I just asked him, I said, "Look, like this is a week out from my fight. I've came second. I just want to know what makes an Olympic level athlete the Olympic level athlete, and what separates first and second." And he just started going into like, this is what separates them from everyone else. This is what their unique edge is. This is how they train. This is how they periodize their training. This is how you should be approaching your fight camp. This is how you should be approaching your weight cut. Your again your training. Like you should have blocks. Should be your mentality. And he was telling me, honest to tell me all these things that he does with his athletes. And I said, "Well, can I work with you then, please? Because I feel like what you're saying, I'm not doing."
Hmm.
He said not a lot of people are doing, and nobody does it. He said, "There's world champions in the UFC that don't do this." I said, "Okay, can we work together?" And he took me on as an athlete, and he said today that was the day that we got the date for the Bray Head show, and he says your 19-week fight camp starts today. I was like, "What? I'm not even back to training yet from my." He says your 19-week fight camp starts today. You're going to break down the next 19 weeks over 4 week blocks, and we're going to periodize your fight camp. We're going to check. You're going to check in with me basically every day, every week. This is what the next 4 weeks are going to look like, and then this is what the last 8 weeks, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It was all planned from over December, and now I've never physically felt this good in mind and body, and I've definitely put that down to the work with Dr. Sam.
That's absolutely unbelievable. And to be honest, I can't wait to see just how much that benefits you on Saturday
Yeah.
night. But for those out there
Yeah.
who maybe haven't seen you fight before, what
Uh-huh.
can they expect to see when you step into the cage at Cage Warriors 171 on Saturday night?
An absolute masterclass. I'm going to outskill, outwork, and outclass my opponent on Saturday night. And you're going to see a better version than you've ever done before. You're going to see new skills. If you've never seen me before, you're going to be very impressed with the skill set that I'm going to put on. You're going to see a very mature performance. And again, in Dr. Sam's words, like he said, there's going to be a moment in your fight camp where everything's going to click. And I remember having that moment in training and realising the game plan's coming together, and the skills are coming together. And the reason why I feel so confident is because my training's been incredible, absolutely brilliant. We're a couple of days out, so if you've never seen me fight, and this is the first time you're ever going to watch, you're going to see a high level skill set on show, and I'm going to outclass a UFC vet Saturday night.
Well, Reese, with all that in mind, on behalf of all of us at Combat Sports UK, we wish you all the best of luck on Saturday night, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you
No,
tonight.
thanks so much for your time. Thanks for letting me chat, and yeah, thanks for everybody for watching. I really appreciate it.
No worries, it's been an absolute pleasure. But ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check Reese and Combat Sports UK out on all social media platforms, and you can find the handles on the screen now. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.